Today's episode leaves us a couple of generations after Noah. So we saw Noah and his family come off the ark, and their response was to build an altar and worship the Lord. However, we see in today's reading, that's not exactly what's going on. They're building something, but it's not to honor the Lord, it's to honor themselves. So you look at verse 4. The people of Babylon, ancient Babylon, then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves." Okay, now hold up. I understand that we live in a social media world where we like to see how big our tribe is, how many likes we get, how many followers we can get. We put a lot of stock on, can we make a name for ourselves? And I think that that's dangerous. I think it was dangerous for these people. You see, we are built and designed to actually worship the Lord and glorify Him with our lives. And when we try to build a tower to our greatness and a tower to ourselves, it's not that God's against building, right? We saw Him tell Noah to build the ark. It doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about. But there's this building it for the sake of your pride and your greatness that is going to be in competition to God. And God is not afraid of, He's not in a competition. He has to be number one. That's not what this is about. But He is number one because He is Lord. It's His universe. And so anytime that we actually, budge up against that and we are trying to defy that, we're actually trying to dethrone God. And that's dangerous. And God knows that it's not good for our hearts. This was built out of pride. This was built out of fear. And this was built out of this desire to be great among themselves. When who's supposed to be great? The Lord is supposed to be great. And God's response is pretty serious. He scatters them. He changes their languages, and they become these different people groups and these different tribes. And I think that, some people might look at this verse as, is God just knocking down their anthill because God got scared? No. God is trying to save them from themselves. Remember, every inclination of a man's heart is evil and wicked. That went through the boat, that made it through the flood. And, this kind of a building, this is not good, and this is not great. This is not great for them. And God does scatter their languages, and they do become these different people groups, and they do become these different tribes based on common language and common tongue. And some people might wonder what's going on with that. It seems a little bit absurd, but also recognize God's plan is moving forward. Why? Because God is about to pick one of those people groups, one of those languages that become His people, through which His plan is going to be carried out through that specific people group and that language, and His story can move forward through them and then to the rest of the world. But see, that people needs to be able to recognize Him. That promise from Genesis 3:15 is still in play. Someone is going to come that is going to crush the head of the snake. But we have to move that promise through one specific people group. And as we can see in the upcoming episode, God chooses one man through which He's going to build a nation, through which He's going to build His plan.